What if more actually is out there for you? That's the topic that we're going to be talking about today. This topic of more. What if more actually is out there for you? And practical tips, at least one or two, that you can start taking in order to trust that feeling of more that is inside of you. So welcome to those of you that are joining live. You can go ahead and say hi, put some comments in, put some reactions in. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and say hi, and also post your main takeaways, as I would love to hear from you all and just love your energy and your excitement within this. So thank you for sharing as well too. So I'm going to start by sharing a story with you all, a story of my own personal experience with more that is very relatable for most people. I find to be very relatable for most people. So again, let me know how this resonates for you. And what you, again, can start doing as you're feeling that feeling of more within you. So as we look back on our life, we all have those moments, and we can have many moments where you know that decision that you made in your life was life-changing. It's like every decision that we make, yes, is a trajectory of changing our life, because each decision determines where we go, and there's no right or wrong, there just is. So, and that's a different conversation. So, but when you think about the decisions that you've made in your life, we can all think to, and go ahead and put some comments in, say me, go ahead and say I, totally resonate. If you can think about a moment in your life where you made a life-changing decision, you noticed within yourself, I could either make this decision or that decision, and you made it. Go ahead and put some comments in if you can resonate with that. Looking back on your life, that feeling, that decision, that moment where you know you made a life-changing decision, maybe not in that moment, but looking back on it. So that moment for me was when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. And beforehand, my life was awesome on paper. And it also felt in different ways very awesome for me. But in my relationship specifically, in my romantic relationship, I had a feeling that more is out there for me. And it's not to shame that individual, because it takes two to tango. So it's also important for you to take responsibility that you're doing your part in the relationship. And it's not just on that other person that the relationship is a POS, right? It takes two to tango, meaning that it's important for you to take your own responsibility in how you are partaking in that relationship as well, okay? So what I observed is that, and all I wanted at that time, I had an alarm go off. All I wanted at that time, to be honest, all I wanted at that time was a man who was going to give me gifts, and that's basically it. That's what I wanted. I wanted a relationship where he was going to give me gifts, and he was going to spoil me, and he was going to give me flowers, and he was going to be thoughtful, and like all the things. I didn't know anything about self-love or self-trust or healthy relationships or secure attachment. I didn't know any of that. And that's also okay, because it's not something that's often talked about. But that's truly all I wanted. That's all I wanted. And so we broke up, and that was that life-changing moment for me, looking back on it, because the reason why, and we'll backtrack a little bit, the reason why is because I felt this feeling of more. I felt this feeling of more inside of me, that more is meant for me in regards to a romantic relationship. More is meant for me in regards to this aspect of my life. And the reason why this came up, and you can go ahead and put some comments in, maybe you've experienced this before as well too, go ahead and put some reactions in, is that I saw my life flash before my eyes. It was like I got a glimpse into the future of what my future would be. How many of you have experienced that? Where you see, like I knew, okay, we were going to live in Dallas, and we were going to have, a certain amount of kids, and I was going to work my way up in the corporate ladder in this certain position. And our relationship was just going to be kind of mediocre. Maybe we would love on each other sometimes, but it just wasn't what I wanted. But I also didn't have physical evidence that anything else was possible. So it just kind of felt like, oh, well, this is something that I could just accept. Until it flashed before my eyes and I saw it and it scared me. Because I didn't want that for myself. And so we can either go through life living in the fear of that happening, or we can live our life exploring the unknown and trusting that even when we don't see physical proof that anything better could be out there, but trusting that within yourself that it is. And that because it's placed in your heart and because it's placed in your mind from God, as I personally reference, so whichever you reference, because it's placed in your heart, it's designed for you to go out and get. It's designed for you to live and experience. And so we broke up, life-changing moment, and I go through kind of some situationships in a way. And then my friend at the time, I believe, sent me this relationships podcast, and it was called the Unf Your Relationships podcast. And so I start listening to it, and the woman behind it, her name is Michelle Panning. I start listening to it, and I'm learning all these different things about men and relationships, romantic relationships, and I'm just mind blown. And so she talked about, probably a few times, she talked about this course that she was offering, and it was, I believe, around $1,000, let's say. And I had never at the time, I was like, that's a lot of money for me to invest just in myself. I had never invested $1,000 just in me without having some sort of liability in return. What I mean by that is I had invested, I believe at that point, in my car. I drive a luxury car, and in handbags and those kind of things. So it's that's more justified because I'm getting something in return, right? It's how many people can resonate with that? You're getting something in return. But when it came to this, I was well, there's nothing physical that I'm getting. So I thought. So I remember I was so ooh, I need to do this. So I do it. And that opened up this whole other can of just explosion in regards to, oh my gosh, I'm learning about patterns and triggers and inner child work and family and all of these different things that I had no idea were even possible for me. Let me turn this off. No idea were even terms I'd never even heard of before. And so I got to a point in my life where I started to visualize my life as bubbles. Okay, so I visualized my life as bubbles, and it felt like at a point I was ticking all these little bubbles off, ooh, yeah, family, and then, ooh, yes, I can't think of the other ones right now that I was thinking of, health and self-love, all these different things. And then it got down to career, and that was really interesting for me as well too. So it was another more moment that I felt within myself of, this is interesting because I hadn't experienced that at that point yet in regards to my career, because I loved what I did, and it is an awesome company in that regard as well too. So I felt very, very awesome, and I grew within it, and it was such a beautiful experience in that way overall. So I share this because I started to have that feeling of more in my career. And again, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just had that feeling within myself that I want to do something different. And I don't know what it is, and it feels crazy to me that I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not this anymore, and that I know for sure. And it's because I changed. It doesn't have to do with anything external, maybe some factors, but it was mainly because of me. My values changed. I was no longer the same person that I was. And so again, it was that moment where I could either stay in what was comfortable and what I knew, or I could trust that feeling of more. And so I took a leap of faith. I quit my full-time job, which I don't recommend you do because that's a whole different conversation that I recommend we talk about one-on-one. And I'll also provide some examples in this conversation that we're having today, in this talk we're having today, about solutions in regards to that. So, and what I would recommend doing now. But it was really potent that I did that. So I did it, and thankfully, I did have some other finances coming in, and I had saved to where I did have, some money to where I could pay myself monthly and all these different things. And so that's how God blessed me with Verde. I was talking with my life coach at the time, and she introduced me to the tool of human design. For those of you that remember, Verde was mainly human design focused when we first started, which is this tool I believe that comes to us from God. We're not going to go on a whole thing about that because that's a different conversation. So long story short, I went for weeks not knowing what I wanted to do, but I knew it wasn't that anymore. And then God provided me with the opportunity to be a human design reader, and that's really how Verde took off. And I learned that I have so many entrepreneurial gates within myself, and I gained all this just self-awareness even more and confidence in certain ways of like, oh, that makes sense, why I want to do that and this, and it was just awesome. And so now Verde's different, and it's more focused on coaching and mentoring, and there's different aspects, of course, that we talk about. And what I want to talk about is, and in the conversation surrounding more, is that if I didn't listen to the more feeling in regards to my, if I didn't listen to the more feeling in regards to my career, in regards to that my job at that time, I wouldn't be a successful entrepreneur, the woman that I am today, who's anchored in self-love, self-respect, who has a healthier family life, who has closer relationships with individuals amongst my family, who treats myself with dignity and love, who makes impact in the world, who is able to see and experience being the woman that I've always wanted to be when I recognized it. And so I'm blessed I was able to experience an overall secure, healthy relationship after that. And I'm blessed for Verde to be able to have this experience of doing what I love now and impacting you guys and helping awaken you to choice. That this is the point. If you have a feeling of more within yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice by not listening to the more that's inside of you. I want you to actually hear that again. If you have a feeling of more within yourself and you're not listening to it, you are doing yourself a disservice by not listening to it. And you might be thinking, well, Mallory, you don't know my circumstance right now. I can't quit my job, or it's way too scary for me to quit this relationship because we've been dating for 4 years and I don't know what my life would be like. And we have ties and things together, and we live together, and it's like, how is all that going to happen? You're not meant to know every single detail of every single thing that's going to happen. What you are in control of is you and how you show up. And I want you to ask yourself this question. Would you rather keep living, if we know we have this one lifetime, and there's different beliefs in regards to this, so this is not disregarding your beliefs in regards to whichever belief you have. But if we know 100% we have this one life, would you rather keep living it the way that you're living it now, mediocre? Or would you rather trust the more that is within you and take action, even when you're scared, even when you don't know, but you trust within you. You trust in your heart and you trust in your mind because it's placed there for you for a reason. It's meant for you to bring to the world. The business is meant for you to bring to the world. The relationship is meant for you to experience. A healthier life. A life that is full of you being able to spend more time intentionally with your kids. A life where you have more freedom and flexibility in your day. To be able to take vacations, to be able to travel the world, to be able to have a healthier relationship with your parents, to be able to have your parents retire, to not have to worry about money anymore. You are deserving of that life. And this message is not for everyone. Not everyone's going to resonate with this, and that's fine. This is for the person who you feel more is out there for you, but it feels crazy because you don't see any physical evidence that that's possible for you. So, what do you do now that you know and have more awareness that you have that feeling of more within you? What do you do? Well, I'm going to recommend one or two things for you. The first one, what I would recommend doing, if you have that feeling of more within you in regards to your career and you want to start your own business, let's say. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to go live, or I want to be a coach, or I want to be a mentor, or I want to bake, like whatever your business is beautiful. And you're meant to do it. What I would recommend you doing is do not quit your 9 to 5 until your 9 to 5 is the same or replacing the amount of income that you're making from your business. What I mean by that is keep doing your 9 to 5, do not quit, and work on the business that you want to start. Because if you really want to see your capacity and expanding your limits, try building a business while working a 9 to 5. You are going to push yourself beyond beliefs in regards to what you can do. Because there's always excuses of, well, I don't have time, or I'm too tired, or whatever the case may be. And it's not coming from a place of shaming yourself. If you are genuinely drained, rest. Give yourself love. Talk to yourself how you would talk to a child. That's important to do. Give yourself love. Give yourself grace. And that doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing. What that means is having the discipline to speak kindly to yourself and still do the things that you want to do. Because when you take action on the things that you want to do, you feel better. Just think about that. When you do something, especially that's hard or that you don't necessarily want to do, and you do it, you feel good. Why? Because you're moving towards something that you want to do. You're moving towards the person that you want to be. You're moving towards the life that you want even more. So if your excuse is that, well, I have a 9 to 5, so I can't work on a business, that's your excuse. You can absolutely do it, but you have to decide within yourself. Start waking up earlier. after your 9 to 5, instead of going out drinking or going out partying or sitting on your phone scrolling, actually start, if you want to still be on your phone, look at TikTok videos and see, how do I start a business? If you want to start a coaching business, let's say, or a mentoring business, watch individuals talk about business strategies in regards to business, or watch coaches talk online. Start a business page on Instagram that's free. You can start, and that's what I recommend, with that feeling of more in regards to your business. When you have that feeling of more, of wanting more in regards to your career, and you're working a 9 to 5, you can absolutely do it. You can absolutely do it, but you have to decide within yourself that you're going to do it. Okay, so that's the first one. Let me know how that resonates for you all. I feel like you can understand that as well too. So that's the first one. The second one. If you have a feeling of more in regards to your romantic relationship, I recommend speaking with a coach or a therapist or someone that you trust. You know what? I'm going to say I recommend speaking with a coach or a therapist in regards to that. Why? That way you can work on your goals. That way you can talk it out with a professional. Because here's the thing, each relationship is different. So my advice that I would give to someone who has been married for 40 years is going to look a little bit different in regards to someone that's been dating for 2 months, right? So that's my advice in regards to that. And also having a coach, having a therapist in regards to your relationship is not bad. That's actually very normal, and that's healthy for people to experience, because that's you incorporating a healthy aspect of personal development, of self-awareness in your life. So hopefully these two aspects of trusting the more inside of you, so these two solutions of, one, having that feeling of the more inside of you in regards to your career when you want to start a business, or again, you might not know what you want to do, but start doing things that you like. Start experimenting. Instead of, we went through all of that, so you can go ahead and watch back on that for tips on that. Go ahead and start actively working on it and watch your capacity within yourself grow so much. And then number 2, utilizing a professional, utilizing a coach or a therapist to help you in regards to talk it out in regards to your romantic relationship. So those are the 2 things I recommend when you're having that feeling of more inside of you. And overall, what I want to say, regardless of where you're feeling that feeling of more inside of you in your life, trust that. For some of you, it might just be a little tweak in regards to how you view it. And for some of you, it might be a career and relationship change that changes the trajectory of your whole entire life. You get to choose your hard. You get to choose your hard, whether your hard is the knowing of what is right now, or you get to choose your hard in regards to the unknown, of the unlocked potential, of the unlocked life that is within you. You are all deserving. And I highly recommend, if you have that feeling of more within you, to trust that feeling. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have that feeling of more, go ahead and share this with someone. Or if you know of someone that has that feeling of more, you can go ahead and share this with someone. And I hope that you all have an amazing day. Take action. Trust, trust, trust. The dream inside of you, the more inside of you, is meant to be seen by the world. I hope you all have a beautiful day. You're amazing. Keep going. You can absolutely do this. Have a nice one.